Welcome to Your Food Looks Funny. I am Marcus T, and you're back for part 2 of Why My Dad Loves Food.
I'm not eating that.
You brought up a couple good points in there, and I just kind of let you roll because it was very informative, and this will probably end up being a 2-part episode. I'll just let yours part run for the second part of this, but where you said you like to make stuff from scratch, which you do, and you have a garden, and he cans and jars and freezes stuff for the whole winter, like he's hibernating, and don't end up eating it until like 3 years later.
Coronavirus.
But there's one thing I remember you did not make from scratch. I don't know if you don't like them. Mashed potatoes.
I just started eating potatoes. Remember, I wouldn't eat them.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't remember you eating potatoes, but if you made them for like a dish for us, you used the instant box.
Right. Because I wasn't, because you love potatoes.
Yes.
But you love mashed potatoes.
Yes.
I've never seen somebody put a volcano of mashed potatoes on a plate like you and your sister and brothers. I just started eating potatoes just recently. As a matter of fact, I ate French fries 2 days in a row when I made that pita sandwich. But you can have all the potatoes you want, and I think that's why I made instant, because I really didn't care for that plethora of gooiness that I had to make taste right, you know?
That was the weird transition for me as a kid. So living with mom most of the time and then coming to stay with you and you making the instant potatoes. Mom didn't play that. Mom hand mashed the potatoes.
I know it.
With the milk and the butter and stuff.
Chunky pieces
Yes.
sometimes. Or you ever put mashed potatoes in your mouth and you knew they were real and you felt that little knot of potato, you know, and that butter, that real butter that's in it and the creaminess. I know about them, but I didn't really like it. But I found out one thing that I could do. I could make some potatoes and add the instant to it and make it taste just as good.
Wow. So just like we was talking about, you the pioneer of the boom box and stuff like that. You the pioneer of blending artificial flavors with the natural stuff.
People be talking about, I'm eating that.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like, mom, I mean, she hand mashed it the whole way. Like
I know it. She had that masher. I know it. She had that masher and everything. And not only that, made plenty of them.
Oh yeah. Full pot.
Peeling them and to boiling them and a certain length in boiling them. They couldn't overboil them. You know, they had to be mashed down. Yeah. And when you whip them, and they had that peak, and that peak, when it looked like that peak commercial on that antifreeze, it was ready.
Yeah, they were nice and smooth to the point of where they were creamy, but they still had the little chunks of potato in there.
Exactly, and I remember that.
Oh yeah.
One thing I did like with my mom, she had these buttered potatoes where they would be like before you would mash them.
Mm-hmm.
And she would put a little butter and a little parsley in them, but it was basically because they were drenched in butter. You know, is why I liked them. But other than that, I wasn't too keen on potatoes at all. French fries, kids would love it y'all would love it when I go to McDonald's. I didn't want no fries, but y'all, you know, they'd be all in the bottom of the bag, and I didn't want none. You never had to worry about me getting McDonald's and coming back home with it, and your fries were like halfway gone.
Yeah, the baglers were great. The bag stragglers. Oh man, yeah. Those would be the best. You go for those first.
Yeah, especially when you find a little hard, crunchy one in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't a potato guy. That's why I bought those. I can remember the box, the brown box with the buds on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they would look like a little snowflake, but curled up. No wonder you would look like, oh no. You would look at a potato like, oh no, we'll never make.
Yeah, when I see that box come out, I was like, oh, the meal just ruined.
But you and your sister and your brother love potato, and I don't even like. I mean, like I said, in my latter years, I'm eating a lot of different stuff that I never would have ate before, and it's not because I didn't want it; it's I didn't like it because, like I said, we didn't grow up with a lot of stuff that you had a choice.
Right.
I would have eaten it if I liked it. Just like I don't like oatmeal. You know, I don't like oatmeal because I can't stand that texture on my tongue. I can't take it. And farina, same thing. Yeah,
I don't even know what that is.
that it's like oatmeal, but it's like grits. It looked like grits.
Okay.
It's got that. It's a finer grits, like grits, but it's finer.
And you don't like grits?
I like grits, but I like my grits. I don't like nobody else grits. I like my Aunt Elnora grits, but she's gone. I don't like nobody else grits. I don't want nobody else grits because they're not grits. They're gritty. I got a certain consistency, a certain texture I like, and I won't eat them all the time, but I know exactly how I want mine. And there's no sense in you wasting your grits, giving them to me because they're not going to be right.
Right.
And I know they're not right because I didn't make them. Bias.
I mean, sometimes that's how it is. It's certain stuff that I like that other people make that I just can't duplicate or I just don't want to. And I think you've said this before. It's food just tastes better when you didn't have to cook it.
Exactly. And I can eat more because when I cook, a lot of stuff that I cook, I've already lost my appetite because I get full looking at it and I like the pleasure of cooking it. So I think I'm getting full off of the pleasure of cooking.
Right. You get first dibs on it too because you taste testing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you think you're gonna get a whole steak from me when that little tender end is laying there on the grill, right. And it wants to fall in, but I'm over there nudging it in between to keep it from falling in. You think you're gonna get that on your plate? No, no.
What's your favorite food?
Meatloaf.
Okay, can we? I don't know if we've ever clarified this. Where did your nickname come from?
Oh man, second grade, first grade? No, I think it was kindergarten. Kindergarten. Back in our days, I shouldn't tell this on live, but back in our day, kindergarten only went to school half a year.
Okay.
So where I'm living at now, Ontario School was maybe what, half a mile down the road, but it looked like 5 miles to us.
Right.
And the way we got snow today would be like a precursor to the snow we would get back in those days. And we walked to school with no shoes on. So, you guys.
Sure you did.
Compared to what we had, But anyway, my sister at the age I came home half a day after the first half of school. They had half a day for kindergarten morning, half a day kindergarten afternoon. Well, they went to school the whole day. They had to bring me home for lunch. They come home for lunch. We didn't have lunch in the school. Come home for lunch. So they would bring me home and they go back. Mom would have lunch together. Mom and another lady named Miss Lucy, they lived and they would do clothes washing outside and a big old wringer washer and all that. But anyway, when they brought me home from school, they go back. Mom cooked meatloaf this day. And my name was not Meatloaf, it was Nilo. I was so short. I was Nilo to a grasshopper. I was just a little boy. And my mom called me Nilo. But anyway, when my sister brought me home this day, Mom had cooked meatloaf. They ate, went back to school. Mom and her friend were outside washing clothes. I'm in there, and I had pulled the oven door down, which was cool at the time, and I had got back into the meatloaf and was eating it. And the lady came in to get something for Mom, and she saw me sitting on the stove eating the meatloaf, and she said, instead of Nilo, get out of that meatloaf, she said, Meatloaf, get out of that meatloaf. And Mom told the kids about it later on, and they would kid me about your name, Meatloaf, Meatloaf, Meatloaf. And after a while, they stopped calling me Nilo, and it was Meatloaf. So they were teasing me with the Meatloaf name, but it ended up being my name. But originally Nilo. I
see. I'm glad we got that straightened out now.
Yeah.
So that's another thing somebody stole from you, basically, the singer.
Yeah, but he's older than me, so they give him the credit because 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh, okay.
Bad out of hell. That was him.
What's a food that you don't like that everybody else does? I know a few of them, but what's one thing?
Sweet potatoes.
Yeah, I don't know.
You kind of paused with that one. I don't know what the big deal is with sweet potatoes.
I still can't get on board with this one. I'm not like a huge advocate for it. Like, I'm not trying to push it upon people because I want to eat them all myself anyway. But
right.
I'm not a big yams guy anymore, and I'm gonna do an episode soon on soul food so that you'll hear more of my take on that later. But yams, I'm not big on. But sweet potatoes in general and sweet potato flavored things, I love.
Do you?
So I guess I took all of what you had for sweet potatoes.
Yeah, I mean that gene, that DNA gene, it was dormant in me and it exploded in you.
I guess.
Yeah, because I can't even I don't even like them near my other food. I don't even because back in the day you didn't have a choice. And they would put that on your plate. You got your plate fixed for you so you didn't get too much. But that juice or that little stickiness of it got on my other stuff and it poisoned my other stuff. It would be like chitlin juice touching my cornbread.
That's a little extreme.
But that's how it was. I can't help it. I just got to tell you. I mean, I figured you could associate if I told you that.
I understand the reference, but that's a little extreme. Sweet potatoes to chitlins? Come on.
Chitlin juice seep in your cornbread. The cornbread gets soggy, first of all, and then it tastes like, don't put that on my plate.
I'll say, why did you have chitlins on the plate anyway?
I don't.
It sounds like you had a bad experience from them touching your cornbread.
Right, but back in them days, you didn't get a bowl or everything went on the same plate. And not only that, they're not going to sit there and hold them up and drain them. So as soon as they come out of the pot, everything, the juice and all goes on the plate. And then all that, see, I'm specific. I know this. This is not something I'm learning. That juice seeps over your plate and runs into the cornbread underneath your lentil or beans. And
as soon as I smell chitlins, I don't need a new plate. I need a new place to eat.
I'm not eating that.
They always try to sneak them in on you. And so many people, when I ask these questions about food you don't like, chitlins comes up. And I have to add the ending of a food that other people actually like, because people don't like chitlins in the majority of the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you this, though. When that's all you got and don't like them, figure that. And you got to eat them. So Frank's hot sauce, you take the cap off and you take the chitlins and put them out and you cut them up in the micro mini pieces. They're so small, a grain of rice could hide them. And then you got to put them on your fork and lift them up to your plate. I mean, your lips, like, I'm going to put this in my mouth and I don't want to, but you got to. And then I've been in situations like that where that's all you had. And this is where I came up with. Me and my brother Mike, we would trade each other different foods so we didn't have to eat the other food. Mm-hmm. My sisters would take and trade me my chitlin for their chicken or cornbread, or because once I got past don't even put them on my plate, they would put them in a bowl and then they would bargain for who would get them. We're kids back then. This is the early 60s, and I don't care who get them. I don't want them. I used to come home and watching them clean them in the sink and saying, "Oh, this is gonna be a hard week."
Nah,
because they would clean them a day or two before, and then you got to take them out. We didn't have garbage disposals, and so you'd have 4, 5, 8 buckets of clean, not the chitlins, but the cleanings.
Yeah.
The excess.
Yeah.
You got to go find somewhere to put them.
You can stop anytime you feel like it.
So I don't like them.
I got enough bad memories. Because Mom ate them.
I know.
And when we go over to Aunt Deb's house and she have like 6, 7 buckets over there, she'd be like, "Oh, Mark, you want to help me clean?" I'll run right up the stairs. Like I didn't come here for that.
You think 6 or 7 buckets were a lot? In your mom's family, they would get 12, 13, 14 buckets and clean them like 3 days.
More than 0 is too much.
Yeah, I already know. I seen people drink the juice.
Nah, I'll pass.
You know what that is? That's chitlin juice.
Nah.
Literally.
Nah.
Yeah. I've turned my lip up like that too.
Now that we're moving on to a new subject.
Thank you.
What's the last new food you tried?
Sour cream.
You had never tried sour cream?
I would taste it and know I hated it, and it had a verbal block. You don't want sour cream. I don't want any. And what happened was we had taco night, and my wife put some on there, And she got ready to say, "Oh, you don't like sour cream?" I said, "I just leave it on there." Boy, I took my fork and I tried to make it real thin because I didn't want, it dolloped in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
So I spreaded it, and I don't know what happened, but some magic fairy sprinkled pixie dust on that taco. And when I bit into that sucker, I said, I didn't want to say nothing right away that I was liking it.
Right.
Because I wanted to punish the person who had put it on there with bad, with facial expressions to show you that you had did me a disservice by putting this on there. But for some reason or something, my feet started like, ever sit back in your leisure chair and your feet go side to side.
Mm-hmm.
And some say, "Go ahead and tell her you like them." I said, "This sour cream ain't that bad." So once I freed myself of telling her that the sour cream wasn't that bad, I could enjoy it even more. And all of a sudden, now I'm in the middle of the taco, and all those flavors are blending together. I'm not just getting it in. And all of a sudden, the whole thing just came into this crescendo of like, these are the best tacos ever. And something said, "Don't tell her that. Your mouth is full." But my mouth said, "I'm telling on you." And because you're going to want another taco. You only got 3. You're going to want her to fix you another one, and you don't want to have to tell her to put more sour cream on there because she was not going to put sour cream on it because she made a mistake. You got to let her know that you want sour cream on this one.
Yeah, give me a little bit more of that white stuff.
Yeah. You know how you have pride and don't want to say that sour cream says you're going to spill your guts.
Bring me the whole thing of Daisy.
Yeah, I don't want a dollop. I got it in the squeeze thing. So I ain't got to have a big dollop. I can squeeze it. And I'm learning how to hold it right now because at first I would squeeze it and before it would come out, I get a big old squirt in the middle. But now I'm learning how to like mustard, paint it on there. Yeah, sour cream. Sour cream. And all those greens and stuff that I used to get out my garden and pre-cook and parch, what do you call them? Parch them and with the meat and everything and put them in the freezer and they end up being in there 2 and 3 years. Well, I'm eating year 3. I'm eating those ones that I had for my mom and she's been gone 3 years.
Wow.
And they're just as good. I got collards and turnips and I got mustards and turnips mixed also. But I cooked them outside in a big old, I guess you would they call them it's not a pot, it's a batch. What is that thing called? That
a rondo?
Yeah, I've cooked them outside on with propane and I had all this. What's the thing in the food service industry? It's a batch. It's a big old ladle. I mean a pot, but it's got a crane on it.
A tilt skillet.
Well, I'm saying where you make a large quantity of something.
Yeah, a big tilt skillet, and then you can turn it to tilt.
Right. I cooked them in a pot that big, but I cooked all these turkey butts and neck bones and ham shanks in the juice first.
Mm-hmm.
Then I kind of drained most of the meat out, and then I parched the greens and stuff in it. Then I broke all the meats up where I would have a certain portion in the bags. And once I put the greens in there, a little of the juice, put some meat in there. I'm just now eating them greens, and I didn't like them when I put them in the bags, but for some reason or another, they're starting to come alive.
You let them marinate in the freezer for a few years first.
Yeah, a few years. I got them in the bottom of the freezer, and they're so good. My wife said, "Who made these?" And I took them to a pastor's mother, which would be about my mom's age or your grandmama's age. And this Hall, I seen her one day, and she was buying Glory greens in the can. And I said, "Those things gonna kill you. They're loaded with salt and stuff like that." She said, "Well, I'm too old to cook the greens like I used to." And I said, "You know what, ma'am?" Because I know her, I grew up with her son, named David Jones now, but his name was Willie Bob to me. But anyway, just in case he ever hear this. Anyway, I said, "Ma'am, put those greens back and give me your address and I'll bring you some greens over." So I did what I told her I was going to do. I think she still got them greens, but just in case, because some people lie what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I brought those greens over and I brought her 2 batches. I brought her collards and by themselves with the meat in, and I brought her turnips turnips and mustard mixed. And I didn't hear from her because I just wanted to do it. And anyway, her son sees me one day, and he's a what do you call a apostle. He's been in the church. He's like 4 years younger than me, but he's been in the church ever since I ever known him. This other son, and he's got a nice church here in Sandusky, and he sees me, and I rarely see him, but he sees me. He said, "Milo, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, you gave my mama some greens, didn't you?" He wanted to make sure he had the right guy. I said, "Yeah, I dropped her." I was hoping that was okay because he was looking at me like he was threatening me, and I know he's a Christian. I figured I'm going to have to tie up Jesus' kid, But anyway, he said, "Man, my mama said that them greens you brought over took her all the way back to Mississippi when she was a little girl. She said she ain't had no greens like that since back when, herself cooking them.
Right.
Because she old type. The old women can cook. She said she wanted to thank you, but she didn't have no way of thanking you. But you made my mama's year." And I said, "Well, my mama taught me how to cook them, blanch them greens and put them away." And I noticed that you said something that's how I got my way of cooking, was watching mama come up with something from nothing. Like staring in the cabinet. She didn't stare in the cabinet. She knows she wasn't nothing in there. But she'd reach in the cabinet anyway and pull something out. How did she do it? Called Joe Bacon. That's what that bacon was that I told you I saw in the refrigerator.
Oh, okay.
It's for, like, you fry it off and cook your cabbage in it. You just want that grease and that stuff to start your fried cabbage with. That was what I saw. Ice cubes, that, and Arm & Hammer bacon, I think it was. I mean, baking soda, because they wanted the refrigerators to smell fresh.
Right, yeah.
But there was nothing in there to make it stink. Yeah, but I learned that from watching mama. Mama could send me to the store with $70-something on a bicycle that barely had brakes and stuff on it. And I would bring home back in those days 8 bags of groceries from memory, what she wanted. Yeah. Your dad's getting old.
Yeah, but you're not getting taller.
You never know.
All right, so fantastic episode. You pretty much used me as the guest, so I just kind of let you roll there.
That's what dads do.
Yeah. Hey, it was entertaining to me, so I know people will like it.
Well, remember when you come home and said, "I joined culinary art school."
Yeah, after I told you that, I was gone in 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I do stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else for everybody, or?
No, I'm just glad that you invited me on, man, because I didn't take it that we were doing a podcast. I was taking it that I was talking to my family.
Oh, yeah. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
How it's supposed to be. The entertainment comes from the natural interaction.
Yeah.
All right. So appreciate you coming on. Love you. Very entertaining as usual. Go ahead and wrap it up there. Check out the website, yourfoodlooksfunny.com. Cue that music. All right. Donate to the show, please. We're trying to get Adobe Audition so we can edit these a little bit easier. Very entertaining. Follow me on social media, YFLF Podcast, on Instagram and Twitter. And I think that's going to wrap that up. See you guys next week. All right.